Welcome everyone to the September 2024 Evergreen Cataloging Interest Group. I am Jennifer Weston, facilitator of this fine group, and on behalf of the organizing committee whose members are listed at the top of the agenda as always, we welcome everyone to the call this afternoon. If we have anyone new, you are most definitely welcome and we're glad you're here, as well as all the veterans that I see. So many friendly faces and names. I'm glad you're here today. And special shout out to Janet Schrader, our retired Evergreen cataloger. We're always glad to see you here, Jen. I thought I would spend just yes, catalog emeritat. That's what I was going for. Thank you. I need to update the list of organizing committee members to put both Elaine and Janet list them that way. I was going to spend just a few moments going through our regular standing items, but not labor on for any of them too much so that we can get into what we know is going to be an exciting conversation about work that is being done with angular buckets with a little bit of context that will be provided by both Andrea and Ruth. And if you have never seen Andrea and Ruth present together, then you have missed out on many an opportunity. But today is about something very specific. It's not the full-on Andrea and Ruth show, but you'll just have a tiny little peek into how that
We don't
that
know.
magic works
Into the
together.
madness.
It could be.
Right. See, I wasn't going to say
Yeah.
that either, but yes, there's that.
hmm
I did drop a link to the agenda. I know that I got it out very late today. My apologies. It is there in the chat, though. If you want it, I'll continue to drop that if I see other people coming in. Agenda, I'll update. And Carol is always so wonderful to help me too, even if I just call her out, out of the blue and ask her to. So as we're going through, we will take notes today on this agenda, and then we'll get them posted up to the wiki after the call. Just kind of going through this, I will say that since the last time we were together, lots of things have happened. One is there have been a couple of releases that came out, so we're now on 3.13.3 and 3.12.6. I've linked to the release notes there. Yay, release team. We're moving right ahead on 3.14, still looking at an October-ish release. I don't remember the exact date, but part of that includes Angular buckets, which is what we are hoping to skip right ahead to here in just a moment. Let me pause for a moment, though. Taryn here, I saw your name. We could not do this because we do need to celebrate one more time 10 years of bug squashing activity and 10 years of Taryn doing such an excellent job wrangling this and making it better and better year after year. I've linked to the final results that Taryn sent us before, and I've got them linked a little further down below too in case anybody has anything specific they wanted to point out from bug squashing. Taryn, I won't put you on the spot, but we did just want to say thank you very, very much and for always being here to talk about bug squashing. You're welcome to say a few things if you want, but I certainly, again, won't ask you to do that without any advance warning. But I did want to point out when we get a little further down with some of the stats. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to scroll down. I'm just going to just do this. So here we are. I did want to point out that this bug squashing session alone, there were 41 sign-offs, 28 patches committed, 31 patches new, rebased, and updated, 27 new bug reports, and 355 other feedback activities. Yes. So thank you, Taryn. Yes, so thanks to Kathy Lucier for starting this and for Taryn for keeping it going. So thanks to the Evergreen community for showing up year after year after year to make this work. If you didn't check out the really cool graphic that Taryn shared, it's still on the Evergreen Wiki. There's your 10 years of bug squashing activity. It really is a work of art. At least it's suitable for framing should you want to print it and put it in your offices. And shout out to Blake, who has set up test machines for that entire 10 years as well. Yes, big shout out to Blake. Shout out to everyone who has helped for any of those 10 years, but especially people that have been there since the beginning. So I'm not going to scroll through all this as much as I would like to. There are all kinds of congratulations in there, and thanks to, again, Taryn for pointing out people that are having several significant milestones. I won't read them all. We've got some of the honored people amongst us today, so you know who you are, and we very much appreciate you. I am being restrained and not just effusively saying thank you to everybody, but I mean
you don't have to like rush though, because I mean, I can either be very efficient in what I say or I can talk for hours. So I'm going to also like lean towards the efficiency. So feel free to shout out whoever you want whenever.
Thank you. I think of it because I still have this long list of things to get through, and I want people to have opportunity to speak to. I find that I'll say, I'm going to run through something quickly, and then 20 minutes later, I'm still talking. Yeah. So, okay. So, release notes, yay. We've celebrated bug squashing activity. Hackaway's coming up in November. Feedback Fest, now that we've gone through Bug Squashing Week, Feedback Fest is coming up in October. I think the 7th through the 10th is still a thing. I don't think that date has changed. True? Yep.
That's correct. Yeah, everything that is on the roadmap schedule right now for 3.14 is still
okay. Perfect.
Accurate.
That's what it is then. Catalogers map. If anybody's here with us and has not heard me talk about the catalogers map, it's just a little passion project we started, gosh, several months ago now at this point. It just shows you where we all are on the map. A little bit of anonymous, not a lot, because we kind of know where we all work. But it is kind of nice to see us across the United States and Canada. And wait, is Ava with us today? I added you to the map today. Mm-hmm. Are you? Yep, you're there. So let's scroll over. There you are. Ta-da! We're not just in North America anymore. The map's getting more updated all the time. If you would like your location to be added to the map and it is not on there, please just add your name to this list that is here. And I will most certainly, not your name, again, a little bit anonymous, just your location is all I need, and I will get you added to the map. And at some point by the end of the year, Carol and I are going to work on getting this updated to the wiki so that we can share it with others that don't come to our meetings. Am I not sharing my screen? Thank you, Chrissy. I am just pointing things out like crazy.
Oh, no, you're not.
See,
I was just following along in the agenda.
Yeah, I just appreciate you all just listening for me like 15 minutes now.
Mean,
that's fine. Chrissy's keeping me honest. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, and now it's moved everything over here, so I need to this little thing out of the way. Okay, one more time to the map. You missed my big reveal. Okay, map, North America. Scroll. Now I just have to do this. Europe. Hello. There's the Czech Republic. Waving at us from across the pond. And again, if your location is not on this map that we are now visually sharing together, please let me know by adding your location to the bottom of my list here. And once again, I'll repeat that we will get that updated, and Carol and I are working on getting it up to the wiki so everybody can see. We wanted to make sure we had a good representation first before we did that, and the list is growing. And then now's the time where I stop talking a little bit to say, tell us what's going on with your libraries. Who has upgraded lately? Any plans? Have you upgraded since the last time we talked? Have your plans changed? Are you upgrading in the near future? And as I scroll through this, as a reminder, this document is always open for editing during the call, so anybody can make changes to it. If you want to just update your own notes there, please go for it. Let me kind of scroll through here and see what we've got going on. CW Mars, you're on development server as of last month for testing?
Yes, I haven't had a chance to do much testing yet, but it is on our development server, and I've already found something that doesn't seem to be working as I would have expected. So, we'll see if we'll see if that's actually a thing or not.
We'll keep us posted.
This is Bibliomation, Mary. We are now testing 3.13. I don't know which decimal after that, but
that's fine. How long have you been testing?
I just started yesterday.
Oh, wow, that's really new. Good luck, Mary.
Thank you.
Be anxious to hear next month how that's going.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, Evergreen, Indiana, 311. Kenton, 311. Let's see, October. I'm looking for 2024 dates here. Missouri Evergreen, we know you're slotted to go to upgrade in February. Still always impressed with these big jumps that some of you have experienced in the last year. NC Cardinals upgrading in November to 313. Well, that's not very far away at all, is it? And then the Community College Consortium in North Carolina, upgraded in July, not long ago. Okay, let's see. Anything else? Pale Spark plans to upgrade November-ish. Yes, indeed. So that's not that far along. Gosh, 2 months. And Pines, you're upgrading in February, probably 314. Yeah, we're hearing that a lot, but probably 314. What else are we missing? Anything else here? Oh, yes, we got to celebrate this one last time that you upgraded from 3.6 to 313 last August. And you had lots of localization going. Anybody we missed? Any updates we need to make? You can feel free to drop them in the chat. Let me find the chat box since I'm now sharing my screen. I found you. Okay, anything? Is 314 the newest available? Yes. In fact, 314 is not quite yet available, right, Ruth?
Right, it is not available. It will be, beta will come out the second week of October.
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, Deborah, there's your question answered there. Okay. Charles, thanks for the update. You're adding 25 more community colleges to your North Carolina Consortium for Community Colleges. Wonderful. Well, that must mean the first cohort liked it very much, I'm hoping. So we're glad you're bringing the next ones on so quickly. Lovely. We can't wait to welcome them into the catalog meetings. Yeah, in December. Great so far. That's what I like to hear.
What does that
Anybody
bring
else?
the total to for
Sure.
the Community Colleges Consortium?
Charles? 50.
50. That's impressive. Good
Nice
job.
round number. Out of 58.
Yeah, those
That's,
last 8, they'll fall like dominoes.
I could say just, having been in North Carolina around libraries for so long, I know that this was a huge undertaking for many years to bring all those community colleges together. So I am so very happy for you. Some are stubborn. Well, yeah, that's always the case. Okay, enough about that. Let's my ramblings here. Last thing I was going to look at here, again, if there's anything else we need to update on any of your libraries or you want to talk about what's going on in your libraries, feel free to drop in chat. Or you know what? You're welcome to turn on your microphones too if you want. I didn't say that at the beginning, but you certainly are welcome to chat along with us. I just added the next meeting dates for all of the various interest groups and working groups. As always, the community calendar is updated and I rely on that to pull these notes into place. If any of these need updating, please let me know or just make the change themselves. I'm following the chat quite. You're making me chat. Yes, no, we can never be stubborn librarians. I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary on here. I think we're back after the summer to some pretty regularly scheduled programming here. I will pause here to see if any of the interest groups have any announcements you wanted to make today at all before I just scroll through that. I know many of us are involved in more than one. Jonathan, I'd love to see by the end of my lifetime a one world consortium. There's a lovely, lovely dream. You can make that an interest group, Jonathan. A study group. Involve going lots of places. I'm on board. All right. No announcements. Okay. The circ rules would be a piece. Thanks, Charles. Yes, they would. And the cost of the courier. Woo. Okay. Trying not to digress too much because yes. Okay. So I wanted to make a note about authorities working group. We've got several discussions going on various email threads because there's some things going on in the library industry that directly affect us. It affect a lot of libraries, as a matter of fact. If you haven't heard, Marchive has announced that they are no longer offering their services as of the end of this year. So I imagine while we haven't had a specific conversation about this with the authorities working group members, we will be talking about that on Thursday. So if you were not planning on coming to the authorities working group on Thursday and you were just looking for a good reason to, this could be it. We have several interesting things anyway. We were going to pick up the conversation from last month's cataloging interest group where we saw the new headings report, and we're going to try to keep that moving forward. that King County demoed for us last month, and we Trisha started some really good conversations in the email thread. And yes, I see your face, and I feel the same way, Trisha, about Markive. So we're gonna just have a really good authorities conversation on Thursday. So please join us if you're interested and if you can. That was my really only note there, just the privilege of the microphone there for a moment to highlight that that's going on this week. We don't usually, I say we'll record those conversations and then I forget, but we will send out notes. They're always available too. There's nothing exclusive about this group. So if anybody's interested in joining or just getting on the list, you can do that on the wiki up above. Link. All these links, I should say, if you're new to this list, all these are links on how to find out more information about each of the interest groups. Okay, and no update on BibFrame as of now. So Launchpad bugs, that's just a constant on our standing agenda items. I haven't updated anything other than I always update the numbers. And so how many bugs do we have? The cataloging plus needs discussion, that sort of thing. So before I turn over the microphone to Ruth and perhaps to Andrea too, let me say while I am introducing both of them is because the work that you're going to see is work that ECDI has contracted with Equinox to do. And I'd like for both of them to spend a little bit of time, and they work this out amongst themselves, about what that process looks like. And we haven't had that conversation in this group in almost 2 years now. I went back through our notes about what a development project is. And while I know that that's a much longer conversation, I thought perhaps we could just offer a little bit of an intro to how you go from specifications to actually development work and where we are at this stage right now with Angular buckets. Because what today is not a, hey, here's this cool thing, we want everybody's input and what can we do with it. It's more, hey, here's this cool thing that people have spent a lot of time on already, putting together specifications and developing and testing. And we're just really happy to preview it to especially the cataloging group, because as a cataloging group, we use buckets pretty routinely, I should say. And so we certainly want to be kept up to date on what's going on. And we feel privileged to be able to see this before it's actually released in an upcoming release. And so we thank you for taking time to do that now. Does anybody have any questions at all for Ruth or Andrea that you want to ask before I just ask them to start talking? Just drop your notes in chat as we go along, and I will monitor that conversation.
And then we'll probably catch up with those two, because we may cover a lot of them. And I'm going to start talking, Andrea, and then
this is mostly your show, so
sure. But if at any point you feel like I've forgotten something, holla. So I'm going to go ahead and start screen sharing right now. Well, when I get the permission to, I will. I'm just going away because
I am making you a host.
Okay. QQ.
There you are.
Nah, I can do it. That's awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me make sure I have all my Zoom controls in a place that makes sense for the second, because it will change in 2 minutes for me. So first, I'm going to start. I'm going to talk a little bit about ECDI and what it is real quickly, and I'm going to do that pretty quickly because it says actually on your screen what it is, and I'm not going to read it out loud. But it is a group of library organizations that work together.
See your screen.
You can't.
I can't.
No, I just see a black screen.
What?
It says you started screen sharing, but there's nothing.
It did, and it probably has now tanked my. I have too many things open. Oh. I think my computer is on its last leg. Can you still hear me talk?
We can hear you.
But you can't see anything that I'm actually doing, and you're all completely frozen. Neat. Okay. Well, while I wait for my computer to hopefully catch up, otherwise I will go out and have fewer things open and have Andrea talk about it. But just to let you know, there are right now 8 library organizations who are members of the Evergreen Community Development Initiative. And when I say members, that means that they pay an annual fee to be members. And what that fee allows us to do is, from my perspective, pays me to be the coordinator, but then it also, the majority of that money goes towards funding development projects. Okay, I just saw some things catch up. Can you by chance see now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And I'm going to close something here. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to close this and something else. And maybe I'll make everything a little bit more stable. Okay. So we have done over the course of, I've been with ECDI since 2019, and we have done several major projects, and one of and what that means is that our members decide amongst themselves using various mechanisms what is important to them in terms of how the Evergreen ILS might be improved for the sake of their libraries, but then also for the sake of the software itself in a larger context. Because it is open source, there are, of course, the very local needs of libraries and library organizations, but then there are also the broader needs that make this software something that's attractive to new users, that is staying current with, or even sometimes leading functionality in that library management software space. And so this group tries to balance both of those things, the needs and wants of library organizations and how they might relate a little bit larger, and then also what the software needs more, because we are pooling money. And so we have generally a larger pool of money than an individual library organization would have. We can oftentimes look at doing larger projects. And an example of that would be the multi-step angularization of the acquisitions module, the Did You Mean catalog enhancement, and a variety of others. And you can actually go to, I have on here our website, and you can look through some of the projects. They're not all completely up to date. I noticed that. I was like, oh, look, it said multi-factor authentication. That's amazing. Then I had literally nothing in there. So I did go ahead and put the link to the functional specifications. And Jennifer did mention, how do we get even to that? Because getting to the functional specifications is part of the development process. They don't happen in this vacuum. You don't like walk out your bedroom in the morning and say, I have functional specifications and now it's time to code. What that requires to even get to this point is a conversation, a gathering of information about what exists already, if anything. Generally speaking, there's something that exists, and what needs to be better. What do you want to have happen during this? And that's what we tend to refer to as requirements. These things are both very important, to be very explicit in the requirements, or as explicit as possible. But with a little flexibility as well, because generally speaking, the people coming up with the idea are not the developers who are actually actuating the idea. And so within there, there has to be some flexibility with the requirements. Is this possible? Can this be done in a different way? Can this use something that's already been built? And yes, Andrea said it in the chat that requirements should be what you want done, not how you want to do it. That's the job of that whole development part of which is the developers, project managers, from there, where they're deciding how it gets done. If we knew how to do the development, we wouldn't be hiring developers. And so I might have just said that very flippantly. If we had all the time and everything to do that, we would be doing it.
You're not wrong.
And knowledge. Yeah, no, I know.
And from our perspective, overspecified requirements can actually back us into a corner, especially when people make technical assumptions that turn out to be incorrect.
Because one of the things too that we really like to do, and I say we speaking for ECDI, is to make sure that not only are the things being built that we want, but they're being built in such a way that they can be improved over time, they integrate with things, and they are future focused. And so if you over specify, that tends to put you in a very narrow space where things have to be undone, redone. And so we try to avoid that. So we go from the requirements and we go then into the next stage, which is the functional specifications. For large projects, that tends to be an initial step, a contracted step where those are created. And I'll just go into this multi-factor authentication because I'm there. But then I'll go back actually into the buckets real quickly. And you can see generally what this involves is, of course, a summary, an overview of what the project is going to look like. Then there is a research piece, what already exists. In this part, for this project, that's pretty small, but in others, it's much bigger because we're talking about an Angular rewrite of something. There is already something that exists.
Like for buckets, this section was huge.
Right. And we're going to look at that in a second. And then we go into the development plan. And I'm not going to walk through every part of this. When I first started doing this, and I still get this way, but a little bit less, this was what I refer to as the wall of text. Now I have a much better appreciation for, and when I say wall of text, I mean that it's obviously a lot of words, but it's also something that needs decoding in some way. I learned that that was perhaps not exactly what I just needed to be a little bit more patient and do little nuggets. These are, thankfully, in this case, not in every development thing, but in this case, they are little nuggets. And what does each little nugget mean in these little sections? There's a question here from Charles about MFA. That's a separate project. I just happened to pull up these specifications.
I'm responding to Charles via text. I got it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to close those because that is distracting and I apologize about that. And I'm going to show you then the specifications for the Angular buckets. And I do have all of these things shared here, and I would encourage you, these are public, to go through and, like I just said, go through each of these little things and treat them like a little nugget of information. Now, the thing about functional specifications is they are not necessarily exactly what will come out through this project because there are things that we don't always know about. There are things that we may have time to add in, things that we wanted, and then we're like, heck, why the heck did we want that? And so these can change. There is a change order process that is involved with that. But these are that map that describes the journey, where we're at and where we're going to. And so you can see here, of course, we have the feature summary, and then we have here this current evergreen behavior. And this is that research where you go in, where somebody has gone in and has said, this is what exists. And then we're going to go all the way down here. Oh, I went past it. And we're going to, did I? No, I didn't. This is, okay. New enhancements and bug fixes. And this gets to be the exciting part. And in this case, we had 3 specific bugs that we wanted to have addressed, but then there's a lot of new functionality in here. So the other thing that I will say is that these are what we call mock-ups. They are a representation of what the interfaces may look like. They are not necessarily what the finished product will look like, and they are sometimes created using like graphic software, using what it looks like in Evergreen, but it is just not always the exact same thing. Things get moved around. There are discussions about accessibility, order of links, all sorts of things. And so this is this starting place as we get to the building before the coding begins and before the testing and all of that begins as well. So these are available for you to look at, keeping in mind that this is not necessarily what is going to be in the final software, but it is broad strokes what the goal is.
Specs are designed to kind of be illustrative, like to give you pictures instead of walls of text or in addition to them.
Exactly.
But it does not represent a picture perfect representation of what the final implementation will be, because we're going to shift things as we get into them. I mean, at least that's how Equinox does it.
Right. And so this is a very technical process, but it's also a very creative process. And it requires a lot of, I think, in my opinion, a lot of flexibility in thinking and communicating and all of those things, which at the beginning I didn't necessarily associate with software development, because I guess my thought was that because it is a code or codes, that it has to be easily decoded. It was very
no, I can tell you, after 8 years of working with software developers,
that's not really how it is.
It is a creative enterprise. Software developers are closer to artists than
absolutely. Yeah, and so somehow getting something that you can put procedures around, it's I would not call it a miracle. It is a highly skilled thing that we do, and we have within ECDI, we have a lot of people participating in that. And within the Evergreen community, we have a lot of people participating in that make it possible. Because we also can take into account our own blind spots, or I can't take into account my own blind spots because they're blind to me. But somebody else can actually say, but did you think about this? And did you think about this? And oh, what about this population that will be served? And so it becomes better, and we do good work. Okay, so I'm going to get into the interfaces right now, but before I do that, I'm going to give a couple disclaimers. This project is still in active partner testing with ECDI. So you're getting a sneak preview into this. Not everything is completely done. And this is something that ECDI has contracted with Equinox to do. So this is not, as Jennifer was saying, this isn't really the time for feedback, although it can be the time for questions. There will be potentially by the end of this week, probably next week, a public branch of this available that can then be applied to local demo servers. And
I hope it will be this week. I am targeting this week.
But let's say next week's cool.
Yeah. No, I instructed my team if they were to ignore the shift in freeze and slush. Or slush and freeze. I'm like, no, we're still going to get this out.
And we will very likely have this on a server as well during Feedback Fest. That will be after beta, but we do anticipate that this is going to be available for 3.14's release.
Ruth, I have a question about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Does that mean the release team is willing to put this in after beta? Because that's not usually how feature stuff
I think
goes.
that we'll be able to get it in there before that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I understood.
Yeah,
and that's y'all's prerogative, but it's not typical
no, we will not do it, but I think that we can have it in beta.
Gotcha. Understood. Thank you.
So just FYI, I'm also on the release team for this and for 3.14, and I'm pushing very hard to get this in because we have worked very hard on it, and it's an exciting set of features that from my perspective and from the testing is very solid. Also, I love buckets. Just love buckets. Okay, so with all that said, I'm going to be going into a demo server that is not available to everybody. So I'm going to show you some things. Please feel very, very comfortable asking any questions that you have. And if you have questions even after this hour, you can just email myself at here. I'll put my email in here now because it's changed over the time. Load the patch manager. I don't know that the patches for Bucket is available yet anyway, is it? Oh yeah.
It is not.
Okay, but as soon as it is, please apply it if you have the ability or somebody around you that has the ability. So I'm going to first log into a test server that does not have this, just to remind us all what we're looking at. And I'm just going to hope that everything works correctly. Go to record buckets. And I'm going to move your faces despite the fact that I love looking at them so I can make sure I see my whole screen. Do I need to make this larger for anybody? Is this appearing small on anybody's screen? Check and chat.
It's a little small.
Okay, let me power that up a little bit. It's going to squish everything. So this is our buckets, our record buckets. Oh, record buckets. Okay, minor little rant here. All of our buckets are record buckets. They just have different types of records in them. This is bibliographic record buckets. And of course we have user buckets, and then we have item buckets or copy buckets or holding buckets, but item buckets. So this is what we have. We of course know the pending tab and then the record query. There are some other places that interact with buckets. The staff catalog allows you to add a basket to a bucket. And then you can also do some things in the mark import export or fan delay. So this is it. But now let's take a look. And so I'm going to log in here, and I am going to log in as admin, which generally when you're doing testing on a demo site or a test site, you want to actually log in with a user account, but I'm not going to. So do as I say, but not as I do, which is ridiculous advice, but here we go. So I'm going to get very excited about every little aspect of this because I'm excited about every little aspect of this. And let me make this bigger because I want you to be as excited as I am. So you're still going to access bib buckets from the same places, the catalog menu, and of course the splash page, unless you have this customized differently for your local library or library organization. And then we're going to get in here, and one thing that you will notice is this is dramatically different. It does not go to a blank grid where then you have a drop down to select your buckets. It in fact gives you a grid with a list of those buckets that you own. And there's a lot of information going on here and a lot of options. So there are some different views as well. One of the things that you can do now is you can favorite a bucket or mark it as a favorite. And I didn't hit that correctly. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. And so now I can just look at my favorites. I can look at ones that I used recently, and I was in here previous to this, so I actually have some recent things. I can see ones that I have shared with other individuals, which this is going to be an amazing thing. I'm going to show you. I hope you think it's as amazing as I do, but nonetheless, I'm still going to call it amazing, that I have shared with others, and also ones that have been shared with me by others, and then all of the buckets that are visible to me. And that includes all of the ones that are shared to me by individuals, as well as are shared to me through organizational sharing, which is an option now. And I believe also, well, carousels show up in here anyway. So one of the things that you will notice about this grid, okay, and I'm going to do something else that I love right now. So you can also dynamically change your column widths. Thank you to Stephanie Leary for making this so much better. My life is already better. Okay, I just wanted to get all these in one line. So you have these cool little icons here. And if you just mouse over them, you can see what they do. This is to edit the bucket. If I click on that, it's going to open this up, and I can change my description. I can change the name, nothing too crazy here. If this was a carousel bucket, there would be an owning library in there, but it's not. And then I can decide if this is going to be public or not. Depends on how you use this. So anyway, there's that. You can also convert this directly to a carousel from here and do all the carousel machinations that you may need to do to get that visible in your OPAC, Evergreen OPAC. But then you can share it. And I'm going to not show you how to do that yet because suspense. So there are also some cool things here. There is a new action in the action menu. Of course, this is a new interface, so we'd expect some things to be new. I can, of course, do edit. I can export the records. That would export all of the records from that bucket. I haven't actually tried exporting records from multiple buckets at a time. Maybe fail of a test. Well, we'll try it at some point. There'll be, I don't know, we'll figure it out. That would maybe a Launchpad ticket after the fact. Just occurred to me, why didn't I do that? You can also do a mark batch edit. That's going to open in. That's going to be anything that's in here. Same stuff that we're used to. I'm going to go back. And now I'm going to, and I didn't save my columns, so you can see that it would just defaulted, but that's okay. So this people person here, a people person, that's funny. Oh, no. I take it all back. Close. Don't look at that. It's too exciting to share. The other thing that you can do now is you can transfer ownership. And you're going to do this. Click on that search for patron. And this is a little sticky right now, so it's not showing exactly the way it will be. But if I then go to, we'll say, catalogers, and there's somebody in here, and I could actually have a specific person have their barcode, but I'm just going to go ahead and select this. And I have now selected that person to become the new owner. I'm going to do this even, this is a very messy test environment, so I'm just going to make it a little bit messier. And I'm going to confirm that ownership. And now I have transferred that, and you can see that that one is gone. If I were to go and log in as that other individual, it would now show under their ownership. So you can transfer the ownership of buckets. Now we're going to share. So now you have the opportunity not to just share using the, in fact, you don't have this option any longer. Exactly. to share using the actual bucket ID number. If you were like me, you're writing it down on a Post-it, or you're saving it in Notepad and copy and pasting it into a message or an email or something like that to get it to whoever you need it to be. The sharing of bibliographic record buckets, this does not extend to user or item buckets yet, can now be to individual users. It can also be to organizational units or libraries. In this case, this bucket, bibs of high quality, is now being shared with anybody that has the permissions to view buckets, to edit buckets, whatever their permissions are, within System 1 and within the bookmobile of System 2. So if I were to change this and just remove that, say, then this is going to activate this button, and I'm going to update that, and now my sharing has changed. There are also two different ways that you can decide to share this with individuals. You can either let the person you're sharing, persons you're sharing it with, have just view permission, so they're just looking at it. Or they can also be editors in that bucket. And so to add somebody, you could do it however you want to use this search mechanism. And I'm going to add Jose. And you can see then I have Jose here. That activates that bucket sharing screen. When you share with a library, is that view only? I believe so. And that individuals would need to have the edit permission. I'm gonna, great, defer on that. Okay, so now I want to go into, and I'm going to try to go fast, but there's some pretty cool features in here. There are some additional things that you can do in this bucket now. So, okay, let me go back. The first thing, and I'm so excited about all these other things that I forgot for a hot second that this was the thing that I had weeping and gnashing of teeth for years over, was the ability to upload a file of bib IDs into a bucket. And you can do that now. Do I have one that's right here? Probably not. Let's see. Oh, I do. And this is going to overwrite. Well, not overwrite, it's going to add something to it. And I want to show you something else that has changed in this bucket. So this, and you have the option to select bib IDs or TCNs, and that's going to determine, well, it's going to determine that, exactly that. Why am I trying to overtalk it? So it's going to do this. And the other thing that I do want to show you in here, and there should be an example of it, but I could be wrong. No. So the other thing that, oh, maybe. What happened before is you were always able to add things to buckets, and you could add something to a bucket more than one time. And it would just kind of be in there. There'd be like 3 of the same record in there, but you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. You'd find out when you tried to delete something from the bucket and it was still there. And then you tried to delete it and it's still there. And you're like, oh, how many times? So at this, and you can actually, oh, they're all different versions. Oh my goodness. What happens now is that if there are multiple entries with the same record ID, bib ID, they still can be added to the bucket, but they're going to have their own individual line, so that if you can see that there are duplicates, you can very easily get rid of them and you can understand what the heck is going on. So the other thing you can do here is there are bib IDs, but wait, there's more, Ava. Okay, so this is going to show those 2 that I selected in a catalog results page. And then if I do the same thing, but I open selected in new tabs, it's going to not work as quickly as, there we go. So we have some options on how we view these things. Will the duplicates of bibs actually display? Yes, they will. So you still have the option to have like duplicates in there, but also I do think this bibs in a bucket is hilarious. That title, is it going to stay like that? I don't know, but I think it's amazing.
I think it should.
I think so. It reminds me of pigs in a blanket. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can either export all of the records from a bucket, or you can export selected records, which is delightful. You can also move, which I'm not sure the add select. Oh, yes. If you're adding selected buckets, you're retaining them in this bucket, but then adding them to another bucket. If you're moving it, you're removing them from this bucket and putting them in another bucket. So there are now new ways to move things between buckets rather than utilizing the pending records tab, which was a workaround at best. Okay. So now let me look at my list. I do have a list. Angular buckets, reports to bib buckets. I'm going to do this very quickly. This is amazing. Have I already said that 5 zillion times? I think I've already said that 5. Doesn't matter. Okay. So I have some templates already in here thanks to, oh, look at that. Clone, clone, clone. I love it. So I'm going to go in here to new records, and very quickly I'm going to my naming foo is not good. Not even, oh, I don't want to use that. I want to use days. I'm going to go back. Pick that. It may or may not have anything in there, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to go to next. Of course, we need to have, and this is, by the way, is the new Angular reports, which is freaking amazing. And I'm going to go ahead and deselect these because I don't really need them. Okay, a correction. Tell you that I'm not shy about a correction, that something that I said.
No, something that I said.
Oh, okay. So now in here, if there were multiple things in that template that I could select for the record ID or the bib ID, I would, like if there was both TCN and bib ID or something like that. But in this case, it says that it is optional. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new record bucket. I'm going to go ahead and run this. And I don't have any little warnings down here. This is a nice thing about the new Angular reporter, is that it says, hey, you haven't set all your parameters. It doesn't say that exactly like that, but there's a little yellow message that says not everything has been defined. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to go back to buckets. And I'm going to scroll down here. And now there is a new bucket that's been created. There were no new things added after the time I put in there. So there's nothing populated in here, but I did this one earlier. And so this is the results of a report that I ran. And it just automatically populated this bucket. So very useful for a lot of reasons. The last thing that I have here has to do with the staff catalog. What is in there, and I'm gonna like blaze through this, and I apologize for it because I need to also go to another meeting. So I'm going to search for piano because I know there's some piano stuff in here. Oh, okay. So I have gone in here, and of course I got a list of results, but the thing that I want to show you here is this new tab over here that shows buckets. It shows the ones that have been favorited, and then if I was also working with some other buckets, they would start to populate this recent area here. there is now the option on the right-hand side within the search results record to also select from here. And that will add it to the bucket. We're still working on getting this tied back up, so that will actually have a count there. And I think that's enough. That's enough.
Okay, I want to issue my correction though, which is about the question was about sharing to orgs, and I was wrong. The permission is additive. So if you already have edit container permissions at that branch level, like as part of your profile. So if you are a cataloger who can edit buckets at BR4,
then you would be able
and
to
if
do
this
that.
bucket was shared with all of BR4, then you would have edit permissions. Or if this bucket were shared directly with you. So if you didn't have full edit permissions,
as an edit.
shared. Yes. So it is the edit permissions are additive.
And that does
and
get
I apologize
a little
for being incorrect.
complicated in there, as some of the things in Evergreen do, because you have a lot of options.
And I already edited the forthcoming documentation to have that in.
You're so awesome. Okay, that's all I have. I know that was a whirlwind. There will still be some cleanups on it. We want you to be able to have access to public branch pretty soon. So we have been busting through things the past week and a half and today as well. And I'm very excited about it. Very excited. That's it. That's all I got to say. I'm going to stop sharing and hand it back to Jennifer.
Phenomenal, Ruth. Andrea, thank you so very, very much.